Oh my god. My brain is everywhere. My brain is literally in like 12 different directions. I don't know what's going on. The chaos today is really real, but I am finally sitting down and I'm finally filming this video. Yay. Okay, no. And it's really funny because my brain is like incredibly chaotic today, but I woke up in like an amazing mood. Yeah, I literally got in my car. I was going to get lab work done for a doctor's appointment, which like most people know sucks terribly. But I got in my car and I was like, Stray Kids is playing, I have a full gallon of gas, the birds are chirping, like today is a good day. And I don't know where this energy came from because I swear to God, for the last like 3 months, I've been so tired, and it definitely doesn't help because it's winter and like I hate winter days because literally like, what do you mean the sun is going away at 5 p.m.? And that's just in like the Southern California area. I cannot imagine if you live more north or like more, you know, super south of the equator, because like, what do you, I remember one of the times when I did a study abroad in France, like it was 11 o'clock and the sun was still out during the summer, and I was like, this is horrendous. Like, how do people live like this? But yeah, before I continue rambling, hello everyone and welcome to whatever this video is going to become. My name is Zarina and today we're going to be going over all the books I read for the month of November. And if you've been a long-time watcher of my channel, the 3 months I've been posting, you'll know that it's actually crazy that we're caught up! Yay! Yeah, so I've been behind on filming my monthly book videos for like several months now. And yeah, we're finally caught up. Yay, we're caught up! Yes, so before I blabber on too long, let us get into the books. Yes, okay. So the first book that I have for this video is actually not from November, it's from October. But for some reason, literally, I didn't even notice it until I was watching the video after it had uploaded into YouTube that like this book was missing, and I was like, what the heck? I remember writing notes for it, I remember filming it, and like I always double check that I'm recording when I'm filming because I've done it so many times where I'm just like talking and I'm like, oh, I didn't turn the camera on, good job me. So I was like, I know I filmed this video, but the footage is nowhere to be found. And then the best part was I have the notes on my computer, and literally and I know I wrote these notes because literally I have so much of my editing out has to be because I'm editing out when I'm looking at my computer. And like, I know I wrote notes, but I just checked the doc and like all the notes from the month of October video is gone. So yeah, instead we're gonna be talking about that book this month, and that is, holding it literally the complete wrong way, that book is Blue Lily, Lily Blue by Maggie. Last name I still cannot pronounce. Cool. Yeah, so this is the third book in the Raven Cycle series. So if you've never read the Raven Cycle, basically the main character, her name is Blue. She lives in a house with a bunch of psychics. Her family, all the like women in her family are psychic, and she grows up knowing that if she were ever to kiss her true love, he would die. And there's like a prep school where a lot of rich boys go to, and there's a specific group of guys called the Raven Boys who happen to be at the pizzeria she works at, and then she meets them and she gets entangled in their like side quests, and it's a lot of fun. The series is fantastically written. I love her writing so much. Like literally every line is fantastic, every chapter is fantastic. Her book, it creates the feeling of there's a lot of like illusions and just things not being as they seem. And I feel like a lot of her lines could read like that. Like you could read it one way and then you'll get to another part of the book and you're like, that line meant like the complete opposite of what I thought it did. Like it's honestly fantastic. She also does yearning so well, like as well as in her standalone book called The Scorpio Races. The way this woman writes yearning is so physically painful that I was on chapter 4 of this book and I was like screaming in pain. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean actually? Because like, what the heck? Oh my god, it's I'm in so much pain, but I love these books, and honestly I'm here for it. I don't think I've been this not okay reading a book series since probably like middle school, but it's fine. Yeah, this is great. However, so this book I ended up rating a 4.7 stars, and the other two have been 5 stars. This one, however, it's a bit shorter than the other ones, as well as like the ending, not like the end, but the stuff leading up to the end, I did get a little bit bored. These books feel plotless. Like they're not plotless, like there's stuff happening, but the way it's introduced feels, it's not very traditional. And I don't have a problem with that, except for this one I did get, like usually I'm like scrambling to read the next page. There was a small chunk towards the end where I was just kind of like do I really want to read on? Not really, but I should because I got the 4th book, but then I got to a point towards the end where I was like, please give me the 4th book now, please. But honestly, there's a thing that happens in here that I really have no clue what the 4th book is going to be about because, what the heck, actually? What the heck? So a little bit about my specific copies of the book, because I do have some special edition versions of them. My friend Sonia, better known on here as Sonia in Neverland. Hi Sonia, I miss you! She helped me secure these Fairy Loot editions because she has a Fairy Loot thing, and she was like, hey, I don't really think I want this book drop, but like, do you want it? And for some reason, like literally like a week before, I was like, I really want to read these books, like, and I mentioned it to her, and she very kindly gave them to me, and I was like, Sonia, I love you! But these books are gorgeous. The cover, the dust jacket, what are these called? The dust jackets are reversible and have different members of the Raven Boys on the inside. And unfortunately, I can't, there's art inside the end papers, but I can't show it to you without it kind of being spoilers, so not showing that. But then look at the foil. This is, I think, my favorite cover so far, and like, yeah, unfortunately though, these are not books I can like have leave the house. I made the mistake with the first one, but I hate reading books with dust jackets on them. So I made the mistake of reading the first one and taking it out with me, so my spine got a little bit scratched and some of the foil came off, and I was like, no! Ah! No, please! Okay, so yeah, no, I don't take these out of the house. But I don't know what possessed me to get special edition versions of these books that I've never read, because I was like, I don't buy special editions, and I mean, these were quite pricey, and I don't know, but now I love them, so it's fine. Don't do what I do, kids. Anyway, moving on to the next book. Okay, so now we're actually getting into the November books, and for the month of November, I read 6 books in total. The first one was Deep Blue by Jennifer Donnelly, I believe is how I pronounce the name. So the story behind these is I actually read them when I was a kid. I think I only got to the second one, and I just kind of forgot about them because I was getting them from the library, and then I think there's like a very sharp drop off. I used to like go to the library like once a week, and then all of a sudden I think I went into like high school and I just did not have any time to do any reading that wasn't like for class. So that's what happened with these, but I was like, okay, it's been so long that I have the whole series. I got all of them at a used bookstore, all 4 hardcover for 20 bucks. I was like, that's a steal. So I decided to reread them. Honestly, I remember really enjoying the overarching storyline, but going back to this first one, I was really torn because there are parts of this book that are really good, but then there are also just like chapters that are just really bad. Like, and it jumps really awkwardly between like being really good and interesting and then just being like annoying and painful to read. I think one of the biggest parts that started getting me was like starting about the halfway point to the end, it starts getting really choppy and the chapters get a bit shorter, and you can tell like it felt like the author was trying to cram a lot of information in that she hadn't gotten in other parts of the book, and I was just like, this is awkward. Also, you meet, like, you go halfway through the book without really meeting any new characters. Like, you meet new characters, but then something happens, and then the main character and her best friend are on their own again, and then all of a sudden, like, you're meeting all these characters, and it feels so rushed, and like you don't really get to know them, and it was really strange. And then I also found the main character to be so annoying, and like not in the like fun kind of annoying. She was just kind of like, she is a princess, but she was like really stuck up, and it wasn't fun to read. I think that's where I had a hard time, but it wasn't like so horrendous that I was like not gonna read the rest of the series. Quite honestly, I think one of the biggest problems with this book is actually that it's not longer. I'm usually, if you watch my videos, you know I'm usually complaining about the length of books, and this one was actually too short, or like it needed to be longer and then cut into multiple parts, because there's like in the second half, according to this prophecy thing, like she has to meet these people, but they happened so fast, and it felt, I don't know, every time they like they were supposed to meet these people, it was supposed to be like a big important kind of meeting, but it just didn't feel that way because it was happening in such a rapid succession. So I was really sad about that. But yeah, this book also does fall under my category that I think would make a fantastic TV show. So yeah, I would love to see this as a TV show, especially if they get to expand a lot of the stuff that happens in this book, because it could be really great. It could, I vote, okay, caveat, it needs to be a TV show, but it needs to be one of those with like 24 episodes a season. No more of this 8 episode. Sorry, it drives me crazy. Like, I need Voltron again. The fact that they took Voltron off of Netflix, I'm unwell. Okay? Okay. Unrelated. My rating for this book. Why does it look like I'm about to cry? Because clans. Because clans. That's why. Can you see the chaos? Are these the eyes of a sane person? They might be, actually. Yeah, but the chaos is really real today. I don't know what's going on. So I ended up rating this one a 3 stars. Again, it was enjoyable, and I wouldn't actually suggest the first book of this series to anyone, but I had a good time. And that's all that matters. Chess. Okay, next. Okay, so the next book that I read for the month... Why am I talking like a robot? The next book I read for the month of... That's why I'm talking like a robot. I can't remember what month it was. The next book that I read for the month of November was Volume 8 of Snow White with the Red Hair. If you watch my channel a lot, you know I'm making my way through these series, and they're gonna probably be in my monthly wrap-ups really often, because this manga series literally has like 26 volumes. So I got some content, guys. I'm very excited. But yes, it was fantastic. I ended up rating this one I just keep closing this thing. What is wrong with me? I ended up rating this one a 4.7 stars. It was, guys, I love this series. I love this series so much. If you've never heard of Snow White with the Red Hair, Snow White with the Red Hair is basically a story about a girl with super bright red hair that's like really rare, and she also works as an apothecary, and something happens where she has to run away from her home kingdom, and she ends up meeting a prince from a like neighboring kingdom, and kind of like the shenanigans she gets into kind of training to be an apothecary in her new home. And they're so good. They are like romance, and if you're one of those people who gets really annoyed at super duper slow burn romances and you like freaked out because I said 26 volumes, do not worry. I feel like the pacing is very good. Like, they're not gonna... Yes, so fantastic. Also, this specific anime only has 2 seasons out, and volume 8 is the first volume that starts to happen after the most recent season of the anime. So this was the first time I was getting like completely new content, and I'm not okay. I definitely read these, I just finished number 9 too. I definitely have read them a lot slower than I was reading the previous ones because I saw those animated and they were fantastic, and I need another season, please. But yeah, they're really good. If you need to have hope in love again, these 2 idiots, I love them so much, but they're not actually idiots. They're actually great. They're fantastic. I feel like I haven't seen a really healthy relationship, like a romance relationship, in a hot second, especially with like all the romantasy going on. I hate romantasy. I can't, first of all, I can't pronounce it because my brain is like, sees the words separately and then struggles. But yeah, if you need some like a good, really, really like healthy romance, this series is fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, that's all about that one. The next book that I read for the month, I don't have as many good things to say, and that book is Fireborn by Fowler. So this book I actually picked up at a, like, what is it called? A farmer's market kind of situation. Not this past Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving the year before. There was a small bookstore that had a stall, and they were just selling some stuff, and the lady recommended it to me. I have been putting it off for a long time, and unfortunately it was a really good thing I was putting it off for a long time because it wasn't very good. So I struggled with a lot of different aspects from this book. My first note comes from page 222, and it was just like the characters. At that point, I was waiting because I feel like one of my biggest problems was like I wasn't connecting with the characters, and at page like 222, I was like, okay, I'm definitely not connecting with these characters. There's something wrong, because I feel like there wasn't a single character where I felt like I really knew and that felt like who I was rooting for. Like, also on top of that, the story felt like really shallow and the world felt really shallow. I know this is the first in a series, but even after finishing the book, I have no concept of what the theme for the overarching story, like what is going to be driving the series kind of thing. Like, for example, like in Percy Jackson, like we get that thing with Luke, like that's what tells us about the story, stuff like that. Like, there wasn't anything that really told me like what to expect and what the main conflict in this world was. Like, we know there's fighting, but like why? Like what is the actual driving force? Like we didn't get hinted at that, which I felt was really frustrating. And like that mixed with like the characters, I was just having such a hard time. Like the whole thing just felt so shallow and so surface level that I could not, I was struggling so hard. And then on top of that, I was started getting nitpicky because I like wasn't enjoying the story. And one of the biggest things that I noticed was like all the chapters had like really weird endings. Like not like weird like time placement. There were a couple of them where like I'm like, you're ending a chapter here? Why? But the wording at the end was really strange. It kind of felt like all the chapters were written separately, and then no one really checked to make sure that the flow from the end of one chapter into the beginning of the next chapter made sense. And then it started to feel choppy and I started struggling with that. And then after the chapter part, I finally got to like where the story got more intense and like we got to the climax. And I just found myself so bored and like not caring about a single thing that was going on. And just literally like, it was supposed to be really interesting, but literally the entire time just going like, how close am I to being done with this book? Because I literally cannot stand it anymore. But I'm too far in to quit, so I have to finish it. And like also there's like a twist at the end, but like many things in this book, I don't feel like it was actually alluded to enough for it to actually make sense. And like, yeah, it makes sense in like a tropey way, but like at the same time I was like, really? Really? Like literally nothing that this character ever did showed that this was. And you could be like, okay, yeah, well they disguised it really well. But like so well that there was literally not an inkling of any suspicion. Yeah, and then at the end I started getting really nitpicky because I was just so done with it. And so I've noticed there's a lot of middle grade books coming out with the characters named after numbers. And this is one of them. The main character, her name's 12, and then the people that she goes out with are 5 and 6. And literally I got so annoyed at the end because why there was 3 characters listed together and they're like, and the author literally wrote 7, 5, and 6. I'm like, you literally could have just put them chronologically. 5, 6, and 7. Like that would have made my brain so happy and like made me forgive maybe a couple things, but that drove me so crazy. And like them not being in chronological order when they're given numbers, I think that drove me so nuts. And like that's definitely me just being crazy, but why? Why were they not? Why is it not 5, 6, and 7? Especially because those 3, like I understand maybe 12 and 5 and 6, because 12 is the main character and she was with 5 and 6, but 7 was also there. So 5, oh my god, it was just okay. And then on top of that, this book also falls into my very hated category of books with too many flashbacks, because tell me why there were so many flashbacks and they were so long and they happened to be so boring, because like something interesting would happen and then like something bad would happen from that interesting thing, but then instead of getting like the next chapter, we get a flashback. I was like, no, please, I can't do this. And like I say, with so many books where they have too many flashbacks, why don't you just start the story there? Like if it's so important that we know all this information, like why don't you just start the story there? Which for this book I can kind of understand, because there's this thing that like we find out later that she has like this secret alternative mission. And I'm like, but you don't find out until like the second 50% of the book that she has this secret mission. And you're like, where the hell was this in the first half? Because this might have actually made this first half more interesting, because then you know why she's being so like separated and she's being so weird, because it just reads as she's being weird and secretive for no reason. And there's, yeah. So basically I didn't like the characters or the story. And unfortunately I will not be continuing this series because what the heck? If for some reason I'm just misreading this book, and I start hearing really good things about book 2. Honestly, I didn't even know book 2 was out. Yeah, so I feel like that tells you a lot also about this series. Okay, cool. Okay. The next book I liked a lot better than that last one, and that is The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Stewart. This book is so good. It's a very hefty book. It's also very dense, but if you've never read these books, basically the main character, Rainy, is an orphan, and he just happens to be really smart in a way that kind of like, not in the memorizing facts way, he's really good at with like puzzles and stuff like that and patterns, and he has a special tutor. And one day they find a ad in the newspaper for kids with special abilities to come take like this really secretive test, and he goes and he does that, and then he meets other people and story happens. Yes. This book is a lot of fun. There's a lot of like puzzles and riddles, and if you manage to pass this really difficult test, you get to be a part of like this secret group that they're gonna deal with mysterious stuff. And you find out really quickly, like, all these kids are very special in their own way. Like Rainy, he solves puzzles, like he can figure out stuff from his environment. And then another character named Sticky, he just memorizes so many facts, like that he can do things. And then Katie, I think is her name. Why am I forgetting? Yeah, Katie, she's just like really good with this. Like all these kids are super unique. And honestly, as a kid who grew up in special education, like them being a little wacky and weird and not getting along with their peers, and then having these like things that make them special, and in some places are considered really good, and then in like most places they're considered as really annoying to the population. I felt that so deeply in my soul that, I don't know, I remember even as a kid just really relating to Rainy and how he deals and goes through the world. Honestly, this book was so much more dystopian than I remember it being. So basically, one of the biggest things is that Mr. Benedict is putting together this society of kids to help him. Basically, he discovers that there's like these secret messages being broadcasted through stuff like television and radio, and he needs kids to help him undo the messages because like the rest of the world is already under the influence of these messages. And honestly, it was done so I have a degree in film and media studies, a BA, but still, like, I know a little bit about it. And one of the biggest things we learned is a model that was named by Stewart Hall, which is basically the encoding and decoding model. And basically this just says that like the sender of information encodes information into video, text, whatever you're supposed to be, and you as an audience member are in charge of decoding that and there's different ways to decode it. Like there's a way to decode it where you match the intention of the encoder versus like an alternative way and stuff like that. Or like I'm forgetting all the names right now. I promise I studied this. But this book does such a good job of explaining that model in a way that like younger minds could process it. And even though he doesn't use the same language as Stewart Hall does, the concept is there, which I thought was really cool because, of course, like as a kid, I didn't have my college degree, so I did not know that was a field of study. But now, after graduating college and like literally studying that my 3 years I was there, it's really cool and really fun, and I kind of nerded out about it like way more than I probably should have. Yeah, and like these books, honestly, they're not only are they fun and like filled with like puzzles and riddles and really cool mystery element to it, the camaraderie between the the four characters, my bad. Even to this day, I have not read a book where 4 main characters are so different but still figure out a way to work together in a really interesting way, because the thing is that all 4 of them think differently, but that is that is probably one of the biggest points. But they still, oh my god, it's fantastic. Like this is such a nerdy book. I will, however, warn, it is a little dense, and this second time reading through it, I did read it a bit slower. I think it's because I knew all the twists and stuff that were coming up. You have to pay a lot of attention to a lot of different details, which as a kid I found really fun, but knowing what's gonna happen, I was like, okay, I understand, like let's just move a little faster. But honestly, these are fantastic books. Also, I thought I had read the second one, but after I read this one, I was like, wait, this is just, all my memories end at the ending here. I thought some of this happened in book 2. So apparently I haven't read book 2. Yeah, but this is a 5-star read for me. Like, if you, please, these are so good. I don't know why, what's up with the thumbs up today? I literally have, the chaos has created a weird spiral in my brain where I can't transition between books. So let's just move on. So the next book that I read for the month was Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. Please ignore all the stickers on it. I'm not gonna lie, I was on page 2 and I was like, I hate the formatting. I hate the formatting so much. Like, why is this book so tall? But I got used to it. Honestly, I felt like, again, I read books without the covers on them, so this is what I was dealing with most of the time. And I actually really appreciated the, like how simple this book was. I think it actually added a lot to the story because there's just so many weird things going on in this book, and the height and the feeling of the book really made it, the actual book itself, feel like it was a part of the story. Did I hate holding it, and did I not love the formatting for a good chunk of the book? Yes. But once I started getting even more of the story, I was able to forgive it because I was like, okay, this makes sense with like the world of the story. So I'll be, it's fine. This book has like annotations at the bottom, with like someone adding in information, but the entire book, you don't know who it is. Not the entire book, but like the mystery of who this person was that was creating these annotations for certain elements of the book was so interesting. So I was like, who is this? Like, yeah, and I had a really fun time with that. But if you don't like books with annotations at the bottom, I would look out for that because I had a good time, but I know there's people who don't like that. Not gonna lie, I already don't really remember what happened in the book, especially the second half, because it gets weird. Like, it just gets weird in an understandable way. Like, while you're reading the book, you're like, yes, this makes perfect sense. But now I'm like, am I making up this part? Did it happen? Yeah, it was good. It was a good. I was aiming to read this during October to add to the spooky season vibe. I just never got to it. But I got to it now. So, yeah. I ended up rating this one a 4 stars. 4 star. It was good, and I would suggest it. I just feel like, yeah, that's it. Oh, also, sorry, I do appreciate how short it was. Like, it was about 300 pages, which is like not that short, and the pages are pretty big, so there's a good chunk of words. But I feel like so many books now are like 500 to 600 pages. They don't need to be. And I feel like this one was the proper length. Like, thank you for not being 600 pages for no reason. Like, thank you, actually. So, read. Cool? Cool. So the last book that I read for the month was A Sign of Affection Volume 2. And this one I ended up rating a 4 star. So, reading this one, I finally know why. The first one I did not give a higher rating than I did. So I'll start with the description of the story. If you've never read or seen A Sign of Affection, basically, the main character, her name is Yuki. She's deaf and uses sign language, and it's a romance. Yes, that's the gist. Set in Japan. Cool. It's really cute. I know a lot of people really like it, and the anime is decently successful. I cannot find the main romance cute, and I finally figured out why that is and why I rated the other one a bit lower. So the main character, Yuki, the main love interest, he's a couple years older than Yuki. Like, nothing crazy. Like, I think it's like 2 or 3 years older than her. And so, as I said, she's deaf and she uses sign language, so she's using her hands a lot, and he grabs her a lot. Like, he surprises her on accident, and he grabs her hands a lot. And I think at this point in the story, they've known each other for like a couple months now. And so there's also like a childhood friend who's known Yuki, actually like knows sign language and uses it with her. And he, one of the times, like catches the guy like grabbing her like wrist or something to like, I don't know, like it was natural, but like he did grab her wrist. And he just mentioned something like, hey, she uses sign language, like maybe you shouldn't grab her, or like maybe you shouldn't surprise her. Like he did something. And instead of like taking that and like thinking about it, he like immediately assumed that the childhood friend is like beefing with him about Yuki's like affection, and he like continues to grab her. And then on top of that, Yuki's entire thought process about it is like, it's okay when it's him, and I have a little bit of a problem with that. And like, I understand that it's been really successful, but for me personally, that really creeps me out. Just the power dynamic between him being a couple years older and being able to grab her wrist and like not taking and like jumping. So that personally for me has been a little bit of an ick. Again, I think I'm a rarity. I don't think there's that many people who I've heard say the same thing. Yeah, there's also a B-plot romance with her friend and then one of the main lead's friends, and that one's really cute. I think that they've been really cute. It's just that the main romance is giving me a little bit of an ick, and if you read the author's notes, like she says that she is consulting with deaf people to make sure that the sign language is accurate and make sure that the story is accurate. So it really could just be me, but that is something that is making me so uncomfortable that I have a hard time not paying attention to it the entire story. Yeah, so I did rate it a 4 stars because the story is good and the art is gorgeous. It's just like that thing that kind of just keeps circling in the back of my head. I do think I'm going to pick up the next volume because I wonder, like, I'm curious what's going to happen next, but I feel like for me personally, like if someone were to, that's like the equivalent of taking away someone's voice, and it just gives me, I personally, yeah, you understand. Oh my god, I like low-key almost forgot. We get to pull from my magical teapot. So basically, if you haven't watched before, this teapot holds my entire buy list of books, and every month if I read 3 books, I get to pull 1 from here, or 6 volumes of manga, then I get to pull 1 from here. I got this idea from Jesse the Reader. He's a pretty big booktube channel. I've been following him forever, and I was like, that's a fantastic idea, because I would never survive a book no buy. I've tried that before. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. The concept of like a jar, like for TBRs and stuff, is not new. I don't know who started it originally, but I know it's around on like TikTok and stuff. So that's where this guy came in. But yes, since I finished 6 books last month, I get 2 pulls, and then unfortunately I only finished 3 volumes of manga, so that's getting pushed until next month. Hopefully I'll finish another 3 so I get to pull. But yes, we're gonna see what comes out. I'm also gonna pull off camera because for some reason, anytime I try to get anything out of the teapot, it like on camera, it just doesn't work. So I'll be right back. Okay, here they are. The first one. Okay, we get +1 of Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I know I've heard of this series. I don't actually know if I have the first book or not. So we will find out. I think I might have the first book somewhere. But basically, we get to buy book 2. So I might be holding off on buying this one until I've read book 1 if I have it. If I don't have book 1, I'm buying book 1. But I saw the plus, so it's another series. Yay! Oh my gosh! Plus 1 volume of Noragami. I just read the first volume for December, and I'm so excited! I get to buy volume 2! Yeah! Anyway, we've reached the end of the month. I hope I haven't blabbed too much. I feel like the chaos really got to my brain, so hopefully half of that's coherent. Because honestly, I have no concept of whether it was or not. If you watched this long, thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, we've almost hit 30 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate for you to be number 30. Like, yes please, 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 please. Yes. Also, if you don't want to subscribe but you did like the video, go ahead and leave a like. I really appreciate those too. As well as leave a comment. What book are you currently reading? What book are you trying to finish before the end of December? Literally leave anything. I love responding to comments, so please, 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 pretty please, comment. Yeah, comment, subscribe, like, yeah, we got everything. Okay, bye. if you're a recurring watcher, is that when? Yep. Ah, I'm still recording. LOL.